YouTube wants you to know that this video is incorrect. The US government is suing Adobe, and we finally have the details that AMD wanted to hide from us. Let's get in the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. Or is it? Especially when I mess up the date again, YouTube might actually put a community note next to the video letting you know that I'm adult who says things incorrectly from time to time. YouTube's currently experimenting with a notes feature that will let you know when things are potentially misaligned on the video that you happen to be watching. This is something that they're allegedly stealing from Twitter, which the community notes is one of the most valuable things that Twitter has left going for it. So you can see right here that on this 15 extinct animals you should know, viewers added a note that some species of the giant tortoise were thought to be extinct, but they were actually found in 2019 in the Galapagos Islands, with YouTube saying that these should start appearing on videos in the coming weeks and months if they're found to be broadly helpful. And people will be asked whether they think a note is helpful, somewhat helpful, or unhelpful, and why. And that there's going to be a bridging-based algorithm to help identify notes that are helpful to a broad audience across perspectives. Probably making it so that just because that there's one prevailing thought or side on a topic, that it can actually be transferred to the other side as well, trying to make it so that it's just not going to have a particular slant depending on what conversation you're having. And I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about whether or not the Xbox controller has the right layout on joysticks or it's the PlayStation. Do you want the asymmetrical or the regular symmetrical? The only correct answer is asymmetrical. I won't hear anything else. And what you're gonna hear is that today's video is sponsored. Today's video is sponsored by AliExpress and their summer sale. AliExpress currently has great deals on some of your favorite products, up to 90% off. For me, I picked up the Anbernic RG35XX handheld, a Logitech MX Master 3S, and the Transformer TF-T10 Bluetooth earphones. The Anbernic RG35XX is a great pocket-sized handheld, ideal for gaming on the go. It's powered by a 3300 milliamp hour battery, and you can expect up to 8 hours of battery life while viewing its 3.5-inch IPS display. The RG35XX is also 5 GHz Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.2 compatible, with a mini HDMI port, so you're free to set up and play with a controller and an external display whenever you want. Next is the classic Logitech MX Master 3S, already established as one of the best productivity mice out there. The MX Master 3S has an 8000 DPI sensor, a battery LED indicator, and support for USB-C fast charging, among many other wonderful features. This is my daily driver on my laptop. Lastly, I have the Transformers TF-T10 Bluetooth earphones. These earbuds deliver 360-degree surround sound and hardcore sound quality. The TF-T10s also have dual mode switching, so you can effortlessly switch between music and gaming modes, all while transmitting 40 millisecond ultra-low latency audio. Connected by Bluetooth 5.4, these earbuds offer fast and reliable pairing with a soft blue light to let you know that they're on and connected, and they're yellow! You can pick up these great picks amongst many others from AliExpress today. If you're a new user, you can enjoy free shipping and free returns. AliExpress makes it easy to shop by providing better choices at better prices, as well as accepting all major credit and debit cards, PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay, and even pay later programs. You can see the items I picked via the links in the description, and even use my exclusive codes UFD9 for $9 off orders over $30 or UFD25 for $25 off orders over $100 for additional discounts. A big thank you to AliExpress for sponsoring today's video. Well, you guys should be thanking your lucky stars that that ad was done by Real Brett, who's a real human, because TikTok's working on making sure that real humans don't have the ability to do that much anymore, because they're rolling out their AI avatars of creators and stock actors, especially on TikTok ads. So digital avatars that have a human feel, but without the time and all of the trickiness that goes into humans actually having to craft the content that they're trying to shill you on. It's great stuff. Why did we have Michael put these Bumblebee ear pods in his ears when we could have just done that to a digital recreation? So you can see a AI representation of one of the executives over at TikTok. It's kind of uncanny in a very weird way. The audio cadence doesn't really match up with human intonation. The movement of the head is not necessarily in in sync with how a human would move, but it does make sense that this is just the way the future's gonna go. Why have a human can do it if you could just get free labor? Why do I need to do things? I could just get my digital clone to do it. Also, you gotta be curious whether or not this is happening because TikTok might get banned in the United States, and a way to get around that is I didn't use TikTok, my AI avatar did. They're not based in the US, they weren't ever even born, they're just out in the cloud. It's an ethereal little setup. And Apple wants every physical device you have to be some sort of ethereal little setup because reports are coming out that the iPad Pro, which is one of the thinnest devices Apple's ever made, is not the end, but rather the beginning of a brand new class of thin devices that they want to come out with for the MacBook, the Apple Watch, etc., as well as the iPhone, with reports coming out that the iPhone 17 lineup should have a super slim boy and that the iPad Pro was the start of that. The next gen Apple Watch, the Apple Watch X or 10, will be significantly thinner, as well as the MacBook Pro, which my commentary on this is that while I understand the appeal of super thin devices, I do kind of think the MacBook Air got away from it. I'm kind of frustrated by the fact that they're doing this to the Pro lineup. The fact that the Pro of the iPad is thinner than the iPad Air is where my frustration lies. I want the big whomping battery in the Pro. I want all of the goods and the cooling and the power packed into a Pro device, and then the Air was supposed to be the sleek, slim one, and then when you make it so that the Pro lineup is the one that's getting thinned out and the Air is actually thonkier, well then you're getting rid of the need for the Air. It just, don't buy Apple, folks. It's the ecosystem doesn't work for you. And now I'm ready to see what type of ecosystem Reece has for deals. What money is he gonna save us?
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. Hope you guys are doing well, and it's day 2 of busted glasses, but also some busted deals, so let's go. Starting us off, we have the Thermalright Assassin X120 SE, which is an ARGB CPU air cooler for only $17.91, making it $31.99 off. But then next up, we have the HyperX Alloy Origin 60, which is a 60% mechanical keyboard with red switches for only $34.99 if you're a Newegg Plus member and use the promo code, making it $17 off. And then lastly, we have the SteelSeries Prime Esports Wireless Gaming Mouse for only $44.99, making it $85 off. And hey, with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Well, Reece, in case you got a bad deal when it came to Adobe, which, Reece, I know you did. We've discussed at length your frustration with Adobe. Unfortunately for you, you live in South Africa, but here, the US is suing Adobe because of its early termination fees and making subscriptions hard to cancel, specifically when it comes to their annual paid monthly plans, which you sign up for to get a lower monthly fee, but then if you try to cancel it, you can't just get out of it because you signed up for an annual membership, but it lowered the price. You still have to pay more for it because there's a cancellation fee. Anyways, the FTC is suing them because Americans are tired of companies hiding the ball during subscription sign up and then putting up roadblocks when they try to cancel. The FTC will continue to working to protect Americans from these illegal business practices. To which Adobe responded saying, subscription services are convenient, flexible, and cost-effective to allow users to choose the plan that best fits their needs, timeline, and budget. Our priority is to always ensure our customers have a positive experience. We are transparent with the terms and conditions of our subscription agreements and have a simple cancellation process. We will refute the FTC's claims in courts. Now, I won't necessarily comment on the merits of a lawsuit being leveraged against Adobe and whether or not the US government should do it. I will just say Adobe is lying, kinda, in my opinion, when they say that they are transparent with their terms and conditions. They're having a huge firestorm with regards to their latest terms and conditions when it comes to whether or not they're gonna use them for AI generation, and they had to backtrack on all of that because they weren't being transparent with it, and they're saying that they have a simple cancellation process. That's just simply untrue. I don't side with Adobe here at all, and whether or not the US government should be taking them to court over this is an entirely separate conversation to the fact that Adobe has constantly had terrible business practices and has been a frustration to work with ever since we started to be part of their ecosystem. But what's also a frustration to work with is many ITX PCs, especially once you start getting into the niche little ones because they got different form factor and requirements and all that kind of stuff. But Zephyr is here to make it easier because they're launching the world's first ITX RTX 4070 graphics card, the Sakura edition. It's a pretty one. It's got pink fan blades, but more importantly, it's got a pink PCB, which is something you don't see very often. It's going to be launching sometime soon. RTX 4070 ITX, probably not going to be overclocked. I just like it. I like the small computers. And I like the fast computers as well. And now we got some details coming out about what AMD did not disclose when they came to their Computex announcement of the Ryzen 9000 chips. They did not give us release date, nor did they give us any pricing information. They did give us a release range of 31 days, saying that it would release sometime in July, but now a Canadian retailer leaking some of those details, which you can take it with a grain of salt. It might not actually be the day that it comes out, but according to the Canadian retailer, we're looking at $610 US after conversion, 839 Canadian is what the 9950X was listed for. Going on down the line, it wasn't leaked at a Canadian retailer, rather a retailer based in the Philippines, with the 9950X costing $650, the 9900X at $600, the 9700X at $409, and the 9600X at $315. All of that seems to line up with where the pricing was for the Ryzen 7000. So when the Ryzen 7000 series came out, I did kind of say that the pricing was a little bit too high. They're kind of starting to act like Intel in that they don't feel like they have competition, so they can charge $300 for a Ryzen 5 processor, which is not necessarily all that great, but it does not look like there's going to be a price increase from what the Ryzen 7000 series is. The 7950X 3D right now is going for less than $500. So if you have that, then the 9950X for $600, it kind of lines up with where it should be. The 7900X 3D is still at a crazy sale of $329, coming in at less than the 7800X 3D, but the pricing looks to be appropriate. I'm not sure why AMD didn't mention this on stage. Maybe these numbers aren't necessarily going to be what hits the American retailers, and these are just placeholder numbers that mistakenly got published. Additionally, one of the reasons why you could think that is that the release date that they have for the 9950X is July 31st, which is just the last day of July. It could be that the chips are launching then, or it could just be that they put in the last possible day that it could be, and that way they're not necessarily wrong, and it could potentially launch earlier. However, July 31st is a Wednesday, so it's entirely possible that it's happening at that point. But pricing doesn't look to be too bad. End of July makes a little bit of sense. Let me know what you think of that. Did you want AMD to drop the price, or were you expecting everything to kind of stay in line with where it's at? I want to hear from you down below in the comments while I read your comments from yesterday's episode of Hot News. We got Faye Not Faye saying somehow AMD or Nvidia or Intel seems to magically make everything obsolete every month according to tech YouTubers. Well, sort of, right? Like, there's only so much news to talk about as it's happening, and then additionally, this is like the 80,000th time that I'm talking about Strix Point, and how many times can you reinvent the wheel on how to get people to click on a video where you're talking about the daily news and that's happening? It's a tricky business. I absolutely understand the criticism, but I also don't necessarily know how to solve the problem, right? Just community note the video next time it happens, I guess. Benji saying, at this point, obsoleting isn't surprising anymore. And then Gaia saying, funny how Asus only fixes their RMA service in US and Canada, but not the rest of the world. Well, in a lot of the world, they have better consumer protection than the US and Canada does. So that is part of it, right? Like they're heavier and more restrictive consumer protection laws, which don't make what certain companies do in the United States illegal here, but make it illegal elsewhere in the world. And so like things don't have to drastically shift in different places where you're already operating under the purview of those more strict consumer guidelines. And then we got David saying, there is no better time for SteamOS to come out for the desktop. I've never considered Linux a proper Windows replacement until now, and I'm pushing 50. It's just a hassle. I don't even overclock anymore because I don't want to troubleshoot instability. If SteamOS came out for common desktop hardware, plus it was mostly problem-free, I'd switch. I agree wholeheartedly. I wouldn't switch for everything. I'd probably keep my work situation on Mac or Windows, but as far as like if I was building a gaming PC and I just needed the Windows parts to be, you know, web browsing and all of that, SteamOS all day, I'd pay for it. I would pay Valve for the privilege to use SteamOS as a gaming operating system. I'd pay full price. I'd pay $100 as long as it's like a transferable license where I get to keep it after and every subsequent system. That's my ideal world. But they probably make it free because they're making their money off of you buying the video games off of their platform. It's sensible. But then you kind of might run into like antitrust situation where like if they have Steam pre-installed, it's kind of like when Microsoft like pre-installed all of their bloatware. And so it's like how do you rectify that situation? I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna surely be done with this episode of Hot News. We'll catch you back here for more of the hottest tech news tomorrow, my friends.